Welcome everybody and welcome to another Absolute Reports. I'm your boy Taladia Players and I'm joined by Jared from Comic League.
What's
Welcome
going
back,
on?
brother. Not much. Just been excited for a new Marvel fighting game and then a new 007 video game got announced. So I've been pumped tonight.
Tons
But
of games got announced.
tons of games, yes. But it's definitely up there. But tonight, of course, tonight is all about Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman. We're going to be covering those. So let's kick things off with the early issue, the one that we need to get catched up on, which is Absolute Batman.
Okay, so let me share my screen, then we can get started on that.
Yes.
All right, this issue was crazy. I'm just gonna tell you that right there.
Yes. When I read this issue, I was just like, firstly, the cover art was great.
Yeah,
Looks
killer
amazing.
cover art. It's Dragoda, so what do you expect? He does fantastic covers.
Yeah, definitely does fantastic covers. So, but like I said, when I read this, I was just like, whoa. And you can see the bat axe coming off there.
Yeah, exactly. But did you see that apparently Scott Snyder encountered his first Absolute Batman cosplayer?
No way.
It's someone.
We'll look this up afterwards though.
Yeah,
We'll look
yeah,
that up
yeah.
after the covering issue.
So as it opens up, sometimes DC Universe Online has to be reloaded. Okay,
Yeah.
so as we remember last time, Batman got all beat up, so he comes back to the gym of Waylon Jones. Waylon Jones is Killer Croc, obviously. Now, when you get to in the again, the really interesting thing about Absolute Batman that I really like is how the rogues were all his childhood friends. I'm like, well, that certainly changes the dynamic a little bit.
Yes, it does. Welcome, Hunter, by the way.
And I love where he's beaten up. And then Waylon looks sees his bat suit. He goes, wait, what? And then Waylon goes, because, and then Bruce goes, because I'm Batman.
You know, that reminds me of the cafe that
Yeah.
Because I'm Batman. That's gonna be the new thing, right?
If you want to see the most hilarious one, watch the one for Guardians of the Galaxy because it's Groot and Batman going back and forth, going, "I am Groot, I'm Batman."
This is just crazy, but welcome, Tevia, and my day's going great. But yeah, when it comes down to the first page, I was surprised to see Waylon Jones. You know, first thing you see is him attending to Bruce's wounds.
Something tells me he's going to be playing a very interesting role in future issues based on how this ends. So again, you have all of Bruce's childhood friends who are the rogues. I just want to be clear on that, which is again, this is actually really cool how it's establishes, because what's actually building on is like, I mean, a few of them knew each other like since they were younger. Like I think Bruce and Harvey were friends, not childhood friends, but they were friends. So I guess Scott just took that and was like, okay, so let me expand.
So it's like on it. He expanded on it even more though, like to a degree.
Obviously.
To a degree that I think it's more, they can be more relatable.
Well, yeah. We all remember having sleepovers when we were younger, and it's established that Bruce is having like PTSD nightmares about like what happened to his father again, except that this time he's like, oh, the killer's gonna find us and then kill mom as well.
Yes.
So it's kind of cool getting into Bruce's psychology, and this is something that I wish they went into in like previous continuities, because I always wondered like what Bruce's psyche was like as a kid after that happened.
Same. I wondered the same thing too. Like, I also wonder, like, as you can see the first panel, like you see the kids and everything. I felt looking at that, I felt it was very sweet to see those kids. Now I wonder. Here's a question for you, Jared. I wonder, will in this universe, do you think Selina and Bruce will get close to each other?
Oh yeah, they definitely will. They released Dark. They're definitely like they're definitely close, if you catch my drift.
True, but I mean, like, will it be like in their teenagers, or will it be, you see, we don't know. You see, so that's something I would love to know from Scott Snyder's perspective. Is like if he's gonna get them together.
He
Late,
has hinted that there will be a absolute Catwoman book.
no way.
He's hinted at it, or he's indicated that there's going to be more absolute books being released, even beyond the ones that we have now. And he's been talking a lot about Batcat, so I'm thinking maybe we get an absolute Catwoman book. That would be actually kind of cool.
That'd be cool. That would be cool for sure. So swiftly, so who's the person that shot?
That is a nightmare. So Bruce having a nightmare of his mom being shot.
Oh, okay.
So he wakes up and then he comes downstairs and we get a nice quiet moment with his mother. And again, this is actually really cool because again, we didn't see this in the previous origin, in the old continuity, because it's like because obviously both parents were killed in the alleyway in the old continuity. So again, we're having the genius part of the absolute universe. They're taking the familiar and tweaking it slightly so it's still familiar, but it's different, if that makes sense.
I feel as well that the comforting this panel, it reminds me of like how I was with my parents. Like I go down, sit with them if something happened to me. But I really think that the people can relate to this. It's great by Scott Snyder to see something like this. Now, obviously, in the Batman mythos, we know that Bruce Wayne's parents, both of them, were deleted. That's the best way to put it. They were deleted because of the fact of what happened in Crime Alley. But this is just lovely to see, and to see like the mother and son dynamic there. I can see why Scott wanted to get.
And you could think she's suffering too, because remember, she lost her husband.
Yeah. So you can see how close they're getting. So that's really nice to see. So
that's really important. It's really cool.
So to the next page.
So back to what previous issue, they discovered these crime masks that black masks goons were using, that it basically has like a heads-up display that like identifies priority targets. Gordon being the mayor, that he is a priority target, and then Martha Wayne being the deputy mayor is the other target. And as you can see here, it like has a potential targets, and then it's like it says like what you can earn through each of the crimes.
Now that is cool. That reminds me of maybe GTA
it's a Saints Row or any of those. Yeah, it's essentially that.
It just reminds you a bit of that. But I wonder if Scott Snyder was a gaming guy, because if he was and played one of those games, and
I'd imagine so. He probably was. So there's this big crime spree going on in Gotham, and in fact, a notification goes on their phones that says, "Hey, go stay home because crime is going crazy. People are being abducted," as we're seeing here in this page.
And they can see the White Rabbit type of thing.
It's kind of like the Batman, and I mean the Matt Reeves movie at the end when like there's that big attack, essentially like that.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Another book, if your audience is interested, that has a similar idea of like the criminals launching an all-out war on Gotham is Batman War Games.
Yes.
It's when all of the organized crime families go to war in Gotham, and Batman's like, what do I do?
It's like they got their own territory type of thing.
Yeah. And they all go to war, and the entire place is their battlefield. It's really cool.
That's definitely, I would recommend people to check that out for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And interesting how the mess, I know it's not this, but it kind of gives me slight Court of Owl vibes.
I wouldn't say Court of Owls. I would say more along the lines of, but
Mad
maybe
Hatter?
you're right. Mad Hatter, yeah, the Mad Hatter.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of the Mad Hatter. So. Yeah.
So then we cut to Cobblepot, and he's like, "You were Batman this entire time, and you didn't tell us." And then it's essentially like, so Bruce goes, "Yeah, I was trying to protect you, and you didn't ask." And then I love Cobblepot. He goes, "So Waylon wants to punch you. Harvey wants to arrest you. Eddie says he guessed it weeks ago, the jackass, and Selena will probably think it's hot."
I got this inkling feeling when he read that. I have that inkling feeling. He's like, I'm not gonna get a girl out of this now, am I? So, and then in the speech bubble he says here, but me personally, I find it absolutely. And then he goes 3, and he jumps out the plane.
Yeah, and I love. First off, this badass shot with the lightning. It's very Dark Knight Returns because I think the first cover of the first issue was like Batman jumping in front of lightning. That I wouldn't be surprised if Dragotta was inspired by that.
Yeah, I felt like that's why I felt the same thing. It's like Dragotta's definitely Dark Knight Returns. This panel particularly felt like that for sure, and I really feel that looking in depth into it. Like, I wonder though. Yeah, we just said that, Tevye. It reminds us of Dark Knight Returns. I just feel though, it's like, I wonder if the bat symbol doesn't fall off like it did on the cover.
I'd imagine it's probably like magnetized or something to like armor in his chest or something like that. So he lands, and then he starts kicking ass all over like Black Mask's little his boat. He's like attaching life vests and throwing people overboard. Now this is my favorite part. He gets rushed by a child, and what does Batman do? He puts the life vest on and then just punts the kid.
Like little pipsqueak, get punched.
He literally and it just goes flying. That is the most hilarious thing. And then that one criminal goes, I'm done, and just jumps off the boat.
It says, "Kiddos, what are you at?" Yeah. Okay. Oh, and it's a female, by the way. So
yeah, and she just jumps off, and then Batman's just smiling. And then we get, it's essentially more of like more of a flashback of Martha Wayne saying, "Hey, we're looking at old pictures and reminiscing about like their father." They're essentially having their own like private wake, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's that,
which is nice to see. That nice to see like you get to see the mud. Like I would have wondered in the mainline continuity if they would have had this much of a bonding in.
If they did this, probably, I'd imagine so.
If they was really this close, because I feel as if they are close in this universe.
Part of me wonders if in the main universe, if Alfred did this with Bruce in the main universe.
I can't remember what book it was, but I saw something similar where Alfred did keep close eye on Bruce.
Well, yeah, because he practically raised him after the parents got killed. But I'm saying, like, doing stuff like this. Like, say, here's a picture of when I first arrived at Wayne Manor.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a cool thing to, like, revisit and, like, retcon in.
Was there any books that had something similar to this for Alfred and Bruce? Like,
if you want a good Alfred and Bruce relationship, it's out of continuity, but Batman Earth 1 works. And it's really any Batman story earlier than Tom King, because it's in the King run that Alfred was killed for many different reasons. But the point is, there's like a lot of stories that like explore like the relationship between Alfred and Bruce.
Okay, so that's a book I'll have to read.
Earth 1. And before you ask, it's part of the same line as Superman Earth 1. It's still up in the air if they're in the same world.
No, I know it's not. I know it's up in the air. I was gonna ask because I remember there was a skin for that universe in Arkham City.
Yes, there was.
I remember that specifically. So I was just like wondering if there was a sort of something similar to what like in this universe, in that universe for Batman. So
And Tevye, it wouldn't be year one because Bruce would be an adult at that point.
yeah, it wouldn't be in year one Tevye.
So
but anyway,
then we cut again to Martha Wayne actually being a little bit more of like an assertive, like badass against the criminals, and it's essentially like she's saying Black Mask doesn't really care about you guys. All he wants is chaos. He's not gonna reward you or anything like this. Why are you doing this?
it's not like, yeah, it's when she said that, you know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of real Miles Morales' mom when she ran for mayor or whatever it's called in Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
Oh, there you go. That's cool. I like that.
So it's kind of reminded me a bit of that. Like, she's being the mayor, she's trying to, tell the citizens of Gotham or the criminals of Gotham that, look, hey, this is no good for us, no good for you. You're not going to get anything. So that's cool.
Or like the mayoral candidate, Rael in The Batman by Matt Reeves.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if Snyder watched that movie before he started writing it, because I'm getting major Matt Reeves.
The Batman.
I'm getting major vibes from that.
I am getting major The Batman vibes from this. I also am getting vibes from other things too, from other comic books and other video games and stuff. I'm seeing all of that into this as well. I'm noticing that.
So then we cut to Alfred and his daughter. Now remember, Alfred's like an international assassin, and he's getting her out of the city because obviously he doesn't want her in harm's way. And she basically tells him, if you make this plane take off, I'll never talk to you again. You'll never see me again. Alfred chooses his daughter's safety over having a relationship with her because he's not going to leave. He's going to go and help Bruce, but he's essentially like, I would feel more comfortable if you are not in harm's way.
But I feel like I don't know if the mainline continued whether Alfred had a daughter.
He does. She shows up in New 52 is when I first saw her, but she probably was pre-New 52 as well.
Okay, but when I see something like this, I can understand the father's like, oh, daughter's got to be safe. I get that, but she wants to stay behind, so I kind of see her point of view as well. It's like, oh, I want to be there for.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And this thing crashed again. So then we cut to Batman, and he grabs a couple of bowling balls and just starts smacking Black Mask.
He takes out Black Mask and takes him on.
Who in and of himself is wearing a bowling ball mask. That makes this all the more funny. So that's I just noticed that now, and I'm like, oh, he's wearing the same mask. That's kind of cool. I like that.
Just look at that panel though. If you just scroll back by one page, if you just look at like he smashes through, you see that there's two side by side, like he's gone through the building or something. Yeah, that's it.
The panel layout is so good with this.
That is so cool to see.
It's like he went through the panel.
Yeah, and then at the bottom, Batman's just whacking him like punching. What's it called? Boxing gloves.
Yeah, it's a punching bag, and then he lands and then just starts punching. He goes, "Tell me again, I don't matter. I love it." Wait. He goes, "I love it." It's essentially he's going, "Swear to me, swear on Batman."
So where the drugs going?
Yeah, exactly. Where are the drugs going? Do I look like a cop? And then Black Mask like wraps a cord around Bruce's neck and starts to choke him. And then, okay, this is where we get into because he's Batman thing, because those bat ears he has, it turns out they can tilt downward and act like stabbing tools.
No way.
So he just stabs straight into his face. Probably killing him too. So I'm like, there's no way he survived this.
No way. Yeah, there's no way you survived that. Either your eye sockets are gone or you're blind. I got a new nickname for Absolute Black Mask now. Blind Black Mask.
Yeah, exactly. So he pulls out, and it doesn't look like he's. Oh, he's still alive again. It's I think that what Batman tries to tell people is to tell him is like, tell your people to stand down. You won't? Okay, I'm just gonna blow up your freaking yacht, because the yacht has the mainframe for like those masks. So by blowing that up, essentially all those masks like droid army and then just shut down, and then Batman jumps off the boat. And then without all their tech, everyone just goes home.
Yeah, everyone goes home because they say, "Oh, they got no money for it," and it's like, "Oh, well, this is not worth it. Then I might as well go home."
Well, here's the thing. This does resolve a little too fast. I feel like there would be some people that are just like, let's just take advantage of the chaos.
Yeah, you would think like it'd be like an Arkham Knight situation where there's the chaos happening in the city. You would take advantage of that, but it never did.
That's why I'm like, okay, this is a little bit like, but besides that, it's a good issue. And then we find out that Alfred grabs Bruce, gets him out of the water, and then starts to patch him up. And then I take it from this moment on, we'll get more of the building of the relationship between Alfred and ginormous Bruce Wayne.
And funnily enough, we do notice that the black bat tank is there as well.
Yes, it is. Wait, is it?
Yeah, look.
Oh yeah, it is. That is the bat tank.
The bat tank is there, so I wonder if Alfred has the keys.
He probably drove it because okay, so it looks like it's floating, or maybe it's a boat, and then it looks like the oh yeah. From what it looks like to me is that the dump truck like floated up out of the water. Because if you notice here, it looks like so Alfred opens the hatch at the top of the Batmobile and then brings him inside the craft. So that's probably what that is. It was floating up to the surface. So it essentially becomes a Batmarine.
The Batmarine, which is so cool. And
exactly.
I gotta say though, like it's nice to see Alfred patching him up. Reminds me of the old mainline continuity Batman. But yeah, it's just crazy to see how torn up he is. Like the suit is torn.
Well, remember he was just punting kids on a yacht.
My God, it's just crazy. So, what would you have to rate this issue, though?
I give it a solid 8 out of 10. I'm taking off 2 points because the whole like riot like resolves way too fast.
I would have to agree with you. I would say an 8 or an 8.5 is really solid book for me, or issue for me, because
still fun.
It's still fun to do. It still have fun conclusion to this little bit here. I really think that Scott Snyder wrote this really well. I thought the mother and son bonding was really nice to see. And yeah, like you said, the whole solving the thing without, too quickly, I think that was a bit rushed. I think they should have just longevity out. That's the negative I can say. And I also, the one other negative thing I would say is punching kids. That's no-go. That's a no-go for me. You don't punch kids.
Yeah, well, he didn't punch kids. He just punted him.
Still, that's not a good example.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was Absolute Batman number 6. Yeah, Absolute Batman number 6. If you guys want to see a teaser for 7, let us know in the chat. We'll put a teaser for issue 7. But if not, then we'll jump over to Absolute Superman and we can cover Absolute Superman.
All right, so this was an interesting one, and this is one where it's the origin of Absolute Brainiac, and this is one that has some elements that they could do now in the main continuity, and I'll explain what I mean by that later. So these Lazarus soldiers go into a facility in the Nevada desert,
Right.
and they're being all tactical and stuff, and then they're ambushed. So this issue goes really crazy with the brutality. Like this dude's literally throwing up his guts. This other dude's skin is like burning off, and I go, oh my god.
But I wanted to know, why was Ra's al Ghul in, like, because they teased Ra's al Ghul at the end of the last issue.
Oh, you know what? These aren't Lazarus soldiers. These are the Omega Men guys that are in the rebellion against Ra's al Ghul.
Oh, okay.
So it's that you can tell by the green armor and the Omega symbol on their like helmets.
Okay.
So they're throwing up, and I'm like, the brutality in this. When I first read this, I was like, oh, you really went there, didn't you?
They went gory on this.
And then it's this, and then Brainiac. Spoiler: it's Brainiac. A dude was literally turned to mush.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was just like, okay, like this is just crazy to see.
And then we get the reveal of Absolute. So, what do you think of the reveal of the design for Absolute Brainiac?
I was lost for words. I was just like, he looks like a monster. He looks like a maniac. He looks like a freak.
If you notice, he kind of looks like New 52 Joker after he cut his face off.
Actually, he looks like Darth Maul.
That too. He definitely looks like, particularly with the robot legs.
With the robot legs, it looks like Darth Maul from Star Wars Clone Wars. So it definitely reminds me of that. But when he says, "I'll take it from here," I don't know if we've ever seen something similar to this where a villain has come in and said, "I'll take it from here."
Many times. It's a very common villain line. But right. I will say, if you want the PG version of this, just check out like Superman Brainiac in that case, because that goes mature, or like Superman Unbound is the animated movie that's based on. I think you and I covered that for movie night one week.
Yes, we did.
That still goes kind of like dark-ish, but obviously it's held back by like trying to make sure an all ages thing. With this, they don't care. So we discuss, again, Brainiac is doing all these mad scientist experimentations on humans. It's like, if we zoom in here, a dude's leg has been like separated, and Brainiac is doing experiments.
I'm just like, excuse me?
See, this is what DC could do, because Brainiac is the type to do this, even main continuity Brainiac, but we've never seen it. We assume he does it, but we've never, this is like the first time we've actually seen it.
It gives me, I got the spine chills from this, by the way.
And he goes, I tend to tinker when I'm anxious. So this is all essentially his fidget toy.
It makes my skin crawl just seeing something like this on the panel.
Oh yeah. And then so a Brainiac destroys one of his bottled cities because he is he's frustrated by the constant failures to capture Superman. And he's interested in who this he doesn't necessarily know he's Kryptonian yet, but all he knows is that there's this being on Earth that has these fantastical powers. So he's like, okay, well, that's interesting. And again, that's straight up a lot of this. See, a lot of the like horror and like characterization of Brainiac, this could be main continuity Brainiac.
They should make an absolute Brainiac comic, in my opinion. Yeah.
I disagree. I don't think necessarily he needs a comic, but I think he's a good overall villain for Absolute Superman.
Tevye is asking a question. Speaking of Brainiac, I'm curious about something, why his brain is exposed.
I assume I don't think they go into it in the issue, but I think it's like so he can study his like mind closer, because if you notice, he has like electrodes going into his brain.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Like he has wires going all out of it.
But how does he not get like an infection or anything like that?
He's an alien.
Yeah,
He's an
because he's an
alien.
alien. He's
Yeah.
an alien. Yeah, he's even like he even has an itch in his brain, which I'm like, okay. And then he smashes one of the bottled cities.
Yeah, when he smashes that, I'm like, is this supposed to be preserving these cities, not smashing them?
Yeah, exactly. And he's kind of talking to the inanimate like corpse that's like being torn apart, because again, it's like you get the feeling immediately that this Brainiac has gone crazy, which spoiler alert, he kind of has. And then we cut to his origin. So in this universe,
Yeah.
so Brainiac was like a worker, and he shows up. It's essentially he's a Brainiac clone. That's what he is. Because if you notice, this guy goes, okay, Brainiac 419,732. That's how many Brainiacs have come before him.
What?
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So the way it works is that apparently they clean up the waste on the skull ship, and the waste is other Brainiac bodies.
No, but I get that. But I'm just like 14 million. Blah, blah,
1,000.
40. I'm lost for words right now because
That's how many Brainiac clones have come before this, and I go, oh my gosh.
like seriously.
Yeah, because I'm like, because they've done that, I believe, before, where there were Brainiac like drones that like he sends. But that's the thing about like Absolute Superman, is like they're taking a lot of different elements, tweaking them slightly. But it's my point. All the Absolute books, because this looks like it could just be regular Brainiac, like an origin for that. It's not, but it's essentially like this characterization of him being like a mad scientist, like experiments on people in his spare time. That is something legit Brainiac would do.
I just had a thought. I just had a really good thought. What if this is a twist with Lex Luthor, but he's an alien, but he's called Brainiac?
It could be like Lex Luthor's Brainiac. That isn't it. That would actually combine with the DCAU Lex, because in Justice League Unlimited he merged with Brainiac.
Yeah, so just imagine that, because it just reminds me a bit of that.
That would be kind of cool. Maybe like the Stinger is so after Superman defeats Brainiac and Ra's al Ghul, Brainiac has to go into hiding. So he assumes the form of a human and calls himself Lex Luthor. You could essentially do that.
Yeah, that we just come up with some great ideas.
Lexiac. That's what we could call him.
I wouldn't say Lexiac. I would just call him Brainy. That's how I could call him.
So anyway.
But anyway, back to the issue. And
he continues shoveling dead body parts. And I'm like, yeah, you immediately realize I could see why he would be like crazy. But I love where is so the guy he's relieving, he goes, are they not Brainiac? Not anymore. Begin shoveling 419732. You are already behind schedule. Brainiac, my work shift, how long does it last? For as long as you do. So he's just supposed to shovel until he drops dead.
No way.
Yeah, and that's what you assume happened to the other 419,000 Brainiac clones, is that they shoveled until they collapsed, and he keeps doing that. We see day 1, day 2,844, like way more than like a year. So that's like roughly, that's almost that's over 9 years. So he's been doing this for about 9 years. So I'm like, wow. And it's like, then you have a Brainiac that like jumps out of like the pile of parts, and it's like a more murderous Brainiac where it goes, I am Brainiac 8,238,759. I stab, I kill.
Wow. Well, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the heck? So you see more of the Brainiac things are kind of like he goes, I'm sorry, I am Brainiac 419732. I shovel. And he just hits the dude with the shovel. I love that. And then more of the parts just keep coming down, and then he starts to think at day 13,638. He goes, am I garbage? Is this gonna inevitably be me?
And pretty much that is going to be you, Brainiac.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. It definitely is. And then day 13,638, still shoveling. He goes, thank you for agreeing to see me. I know I am only a level 0 effector, but I appreciate you recognizing the quality of my labor and allowing me the chance to present a query. Esteemed Brainiacs of the collective, my question is, am I garbage? I'm just going to do this. It's kind of like, so he's talking to dead bodies, essentially. So again, you're seeing this Brainiac's descent into utter madness.
Madness.
Madness. And then day 49,000, you can see his brain is exposed, and he has the shovel. He opens the door and starts to walk throughout the ship. In other words, he's gone off book because he was supposed to stay in that room and just keep shoveling until he dies. And then he finds all the Brainiac clones. And then what he discovers is the Brainiac that had assigned him his task killed himself. And he was alone on the ship the entire time.
No way.
Yeah, so he goes, I am Brainiac. So he's essentially going, okay, he essentially goes, I'm the captain now.
I am the captain now.
And I gotta say, that's a cool design for the skull ship.
Yeah, it's very not freaky looking, but alien tech.
If you notice, they've all followed a general design choice of having just the skull and then the tentacles. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League did this. Red Sun did this, but this is the first one where it actually felt like they were doing something new with it.
Tevia's asking, why did the captain do that? I'm actually curious.
They never say it.
They never. Okay, so they never say it.
It could be just he realized the futility of what he was doing. He's like, what's the point of going on? And then and then again, he talks about how he's gone to countless worlds. He's essentially taking samples. So again, like regular Brainiac, and and he's tried to study, and I think he's you could think Brainiac's always hit me as an addict, and he's addicted to knowledge.
Yeah, he is addicted to knowledge, and which intrigues me.
Yeah. And it's even where the dude's experimenting on, it's you could see he enlarged his hand so it's freakishly big.
Yeah.
And I'm just I'd see, this is one of those things where I would love to get a book that's showing him experimenting on people. So yeah, to a certain degree, it would be kind of cool to have an absolute Brainiac book if they could do it. That would be dope.
Yeah, I think an absolute Brainiac book can work. So
then he contacts a lot more Brainiacs. So he contacts the other members of the collective. And what's kind of cool is that each one is unique and that some don't even speak. It says, this is Brainiac, untranslatable wailing sounds. So it's that dude is the way that particular Brainiac identifies himself is not in any language we would understand. There's Brainiac 667, 666. There's Q9 53X. Yeah. Tevia's right. It's the Council of Brainiacs.
The Council of Brainiacs. This is crazy.
And then they talk about he talks about, hey, I've been encountering this creature from Krypton, and then they go, that's impossible, Brainiac. You actually you summoned us to talk about this being on Earth that has these amazing powers. And then Brainiac, and then our main Brainiac goes, yeah, but he's from Krypton. It's doesn't that interest you? He goes, Krypton incinerated. So they're like doubting, because I think that they know. I mean, you can take one look at him and see like his brain exposed and go, yeah, he's not altogether there. So they're
Yeah.
like, why would we trust you?
Why would we trust you? Your brain is open. You got experimental. You got wires all over the place. You're you're not all there. Your marble aren't screwed on.
Yeah, exactly. So then he just hangs up. Oh, we also discover that he has kryptonite. Because if you see these like shards over here, they go, no Brainiac has ever set foot upon Krypton, because they didn't think it's scientifically prudent. In other words, they didn't deem the Kryptonians worthy of their presence, and they found like the kryptonite, which, for those that don't know, kryptonite is just the irradiated shards of Krypton's core. That's why it harms Superman.
Yes.
And
also,
it's gone back and forth whether or not it's like cancerous to humans. Sometimes it does it with Lex. Sometimes it does it. Sometimes it doesn't give them cancer. So that's not really like a set in stone thing.
Yeah.
But where it did do that, or there was a story where like Lex, and we covered the movie for that on movie night, Public Enemies, where Lex is injecting kryptonite into his like veins because it gives him super strength.
Yeah, when he did that, like we talked about this on your channel, it was like, yeah, he kind of got cancerous from it or something. But I just had a thought though, Jared, right? What if he found those missing Kryptonians? Remember, they were all escaping.
That is a good point, but as far as we know from this issue, he hasn't yet.
But it could be in a later issue
could be in a later issue. That is 100% true. Could be in a later issue. I'm saying he could find them, or like he comes across them and starts like experimenting on them to find out what makes Superman tick.
I do have like some theories out there. A really good theory, by the way. All right,
let's hear it.
I think Brainiac creates Cyborg Superman.
That is an excellent theory. And more on that in a second, because this issue kind of sets up another villain. I'll bring that up later. Tevia says if he took Kandor and Supergirl's parents, that'd be... Yeah, I know. You could do that, because that's kind of where they've done in the comics, where Brainiac does take a Kryptonian SETI, and it's either Kandor or Argo is the one that he takes. Actually, I think it's Kandor, because it's the shrunken city of Kandor. Argo is the one that literally blew off Krypton.
That blew off Krypton and survived.
Yeah, it still survived. Kandor is the one that was actually in a bottle. So he ends the transmission, and hang on, we get more of... So he literally took this dude's brain out too. Like, that's the extent of like experiment, and you find out why. All right. This was so here's the thing, Taladia. So when I was rereading this issue in preparation for this show, this is when I got a theory.
Go, I know.
It was around this time when I was like, okay, so he's using kryptonite and he's feeding someone with a bunch of cybernetic parts. Taladia, which Superman villain has a kryptonite heart and is a robot?
Metallo.
Exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, oh, is this absolute Metallo? Lo and behold, it kind of is. So we see this Peacemaker guy that he abducted. He's like, just kill me. And then if you see right here, I think that's the absolute Metallo suit.
No way.
I think this is absolute Metallo, dude. It doesn't say if it's John Corbin or something like that.
I mean, John Smith.
No, Corbin is the one no, Chris Smith is Peacemaker.
Yeah, it is Chris Smith. Because it says Peacemaker. Yeah, it says
Peacemaker Smith. Oh, okay. Oh, so Peacemaker is going to turn into Metallo. That's cool.
Whoa.
That's actually really cool. I like that. So again, the Absolute Universe keeps doing really, really cool stuff. And as far as rating this issue, this is getting a 9.5 to 10 out of 10 because
Yeah.
I love the horror elements of Brainiac, how you see him like descend into madness. And then if you're paying attention and you know who Metallo is, you start to pick up on, oh, so all those past bodies were like, he was trying to iterate on making Metallo. Again, it all depends on if he labels them as Metallo. It could be Cyborg Superman, but the fact that it's using kryptonite is where I was like, this is Metallo.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Metallo, but then, like I said, I have a theory that he will make a Kryptonian.
Maybe Ra's al Ghul has Cyborg Superman.
Maybe, but what I think is, here's my theory. What if he gets Jor-El because he was in the spaceship?
Oh, sure. Because it's kind of interesting. New 52 Cyborg Superman was Kara's father.
What if in this universe it's Jor-El?
That's a great idea. Like, wow, father-son battle. That's actually a pretty good idea. I like that.
Not because it's like it's not Hank Shaw. I think it'd be a really good twist on it, and I really think if it'd be different to the mainline continuity universe.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's honestly a fantastic idea for how to absolutize, for lack of a better term, Cyborg Superman, but also have a really dope emotional battle for Superman. I'm like, that's a good one, Talati. I like that one.
But then at the end, here's my also theory. At the end of the battle, he regains his consciousness of who Clark is, Kal-El is, and all of that. And he becomes part of the family.
Maybe he sacrifices himself to take out Brainiac.
Yeah, that too. Like how they did in My Adventure with Superman when Kara tried to sacrifice herself to take out Brainiac in the final.
I still hate in that show that they made the Kryptonians a conquering empire. I'm like, oh god.
But hey, Brainiacs in this are trying to conquer worlds, so they kind of.
I like this. No, I like when Brainiac can conquer worlds all he wants. It's when they make the Kryptonians the bad guys that I'm like, okay, no.
Okay, so I have to give this a 9.5. I really thought this issue was very grotesque, very.
And it's mostly due to, I'm gonna butcher his name, but screw it, I'm gonna do it. Carmine Di Giandomenico. I gotta say this. All of the absolute artists have been perfectly picked for their book, because this is something I say to Lottie whenever I review an indie book on my channel. Right. I say the artist should be properly paired with the project, because if you have an artist that does dark stories really well, but not so much like lighter stories, you want to put them on a darker book, and that's like Dragotta. Sherman can go either way, as we're seeing with Absolute Wonder Woman. DeLuise can go either way. This one, the artists for Absolute Superman, both of them, dramatically understand cosmic horror.
Exactly, and I think the cosmic horror side of this thing, it was just that's why I give it a 9.5. I just think it was just really well done, and a very good twist. A very good twist on
Speaking
Metallo.
Of twist, here's something here, and Tevia brings it up. So this issue, this arc, if you will, is called Superman, Son of the Demon. I mean, or the next one is called that. So you know who's called Son of the Demon?
Ra's al Ghul.
Damian.
Oh, okay.
So interesting with Superman being called Son of the Demon. Maybe Superman gets captured by Ra's, and then with the Lazarus Pit, he is mind controlled.
I'm just trying to think. How?
Or going to your Cyborg Superman theory, what if it's not Jor-El? What if it's Damian? Damian is Cyborg Superman.
I'm just trying to process this.
Son of the Demon, Superman.
No, I'm just trying to process the Damien thing because
Yeah, Damian Wayne. He probably won't be Wayne, but how about that? Damian Al Ghul is Cyborg Superman.
a cyborg boy.
Cyborg boy, yeah, exactly. But how about that for a little? Because Superman, Son of the Demon, that is a very interesting. Because all of these titles have been picked deliberately in all the Absolute books. So I'm like,
So
Son of the Demon.
I gotta ask you this: how many issues are there for a full arc?
Actually, you know what's interesting about Absolute Superman?
Mm-hmm.
We are now we're pretty much all caught up except for the issue that just came out for Absolute Superman.
Okay.
In terms of like arcs, normally an arc is like 4 to 5 issues.
No, I just had to ask if we were finished one arc or if we're at the beginning of a new arc.
I think we did complete one arc because this is labeled prologue, so I would assume so. In fact,
okay.
I think yes, we completed the Absolute Superman arc because I know a lot of the Absolute books, well, the original 3, the Absolute Trinity books, all completed their arcs.
Okay, so yeah, I'll tell you something after the stream because I got some ideas I want to run by you.
Yeah, sure. But all in all, I got to say this is my favorite part of DC right now. I have not been this excited to pick up DC. I love DC. I love all the other books, don't get me wrong. But this is just so cool because you legit do not know what could happen.
I really agree with you. Like all the books I like is like Batman, Superman, Flash. Particularly Flash I find interesting.
Flash is cool. Martian Manhunter, they actually hinted at the plot now. So I'm like, okay, now I get it now. It's all really cool.
Yeah, because I'll be covering Martian Manhunter with Robert. Because that's something I want to get.
Wonder Woman is superb, ignoring the Tom King stuff, but it's like on its own, it's still utterly. Here's the funny thing: I keep saying this on the Super Wonder Show with Britt. None of these concepts should work. None of these reinventions should work, but they do. That's the part that keeps like blowing my mind.
Yeah, it's what's the word I'm looking for, Jared? It's mind-boggling to see.
In fact, I have some insider information for you. Would you like to hear it?
Go on.
So DC's sales were in the gutter before the Absolute Universe. So you know how like I've long said that the new 52 saved DC?
Yes.
We literally had a repeat of that recently because the DC sales were like really, really, really bad. And then the Absolute Universe came in and revitalized DC.
Right.
So it's like history repeating itself.
So I was gonna mention this. I think DC are gonna be back on the high horse with the Absolute Universe. So just before we wrap up and everything, I do want to gift out 5 memberships to the channel.
Dope.
So I do want to do that and get that out. So Robert, Bianca, Sticks, 𝐂𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓, Zeke, welcome you guys back to the Tilati Plays YouTube membership page. So there you guys go. You guys got memberships. Anyway, what I was gonna say to you, Jared, is that I'm really excited to cover Absolute Batman. What's it called? Absolute Batman. What's it called? Absolute Freeze. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, it's the arc. It's the issues that are covering Mr. Freeze. Yeah, exactly. The Absolute Mr. Freeze is utterly terrifying in the best way, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, Bianca, you just got a gifted membership to my channel. Welcome. Yeah, so the Absolute Superman, Absolute Batman, definitely we're going to be covering that. But anyway, let's wrap this in a nice bow tie. Jared, where can they find you on social media? What you're coming up on your channel, and also what exciting videos you got planned?
Dope. So you can find me at Comics League, obviously. And currently, so I just released Wonder Woman Wednesday, where I talk about my favorite gods that like interact with Diana, like Zeus, Hephaestus, and all that stuff, and how they really add to like the dynamic of Diana. I'm going to be for Super Wonder Legacy. Britt and I are going to compare Superman, Wonder Woman to Nightwing and Starfire, so that's going to be really fun. For Under Two Capes, we're going to do a double header essentially. We're going to argue why Wonder Bat sucks, as you know, Taladia, and we're going to fix the worst Wonder Woman story of all time, Amazon's Attack.
Okay.
As for Comics League Dark, we'll be talking about the Superman budget news and all that, all the character posters. We'll be having a fun conversation on that. And then I would imagine, so on Tuesday, I'm going to be having my friend Barbara on because she's a major Green Lantern fan. So we're going to talk about Green Lantern. Could have some stuff developing on that in the future. Lies, Bianca, lies.
I had to put that.
Lies. Definitely lies. And yeah, so that's all I got for right now. I got a lot of stuff cooking.
As for me, guys, you can check me out on X at @TaladiaPlays_, at TaladiaPlays on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram. And you can find me at Taladia Plays. What I got coming up on my channel, though, is I'll be doing a video about NetherRealm and what they possibly could be doing next for the next video game. Like, is it Injustice? What could it be next? Also, I have got a video got to do, which is going to be the reaction video to the Marvel fighting game, which just got announced tonight. Which looks amazing. So I'll be doing a reaction video for that. You know, I'll get that done tonight before I go to bed, and then upload it tomorrow afternoon. So, or Friday afternoon, I'll get that uploaded. But also I will be doing a collab with 𝐂𝐓, as we're going to be discussing Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, as it's coming up to its 9 months since release. So we'll be talking about that with 𝐂𝐓. And also I have got a collab with Shaborn coming up pretty soon. There'll be a big exciting interview with me interviewing her, as we're going to get to know her on Into the Multiverse of DC Comics podcast. We get to talk about Superman, Matt Reeves, the Batman, and so much more with her. So stay tuned for that. And also stay tuned for San Diego Comic-Con coverage. That's also going to be happening soon. So hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful morning, wonderful afternoon, wonderful morning, wonderful afternoon, wonderful evening, wherever you are in the world. Jared, any final words you'd like to say to the audience to say thank you or anything?
Really appreciate you guys watching. Sub to Taladia. He makes a lot of great content, and keep reading the Absolute Universe.
There we go. So like he said, read the comics and like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.